Okay, this is the fifth and last news on today's newspaper. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inland tribunals set to rule on Saifullah's plea. So, according to FBR family, the politicians from KP declared those assets in 2018 tax amnesty scheme that had been mentioned in Panama Papers by our staff reporter. Islamabad, an appellate tribunal of Inland Revenue (ATIR), has reserved a decision on five identical appeals filed by the Saifullah's family of politicians from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, challenging the imposition of rupees 5 billion additional tax by the Federal Board of Revenue (FBR) against the undeclared offshore properties which were exposed by Panama Papers. It emerged on Saturday. It would be the first such case in which the ATIR is supposed to announce an order as earlier on the basis of Panama Papers. Then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif had been disqualified. In subsequent proceedings, Mr. Sharif and his daughter were sent to jail, and his two sons were declared a proclaimed offender for absconding from the trial proceedings. However, the ATIR proceedings are different in nature as they are the outcome of the routine business of FBR's Inland Revenue Service that had imposed rupees 5 billion additional tax in October 2018. After 2 years of correspondence, the Saifullah family challenged the additional tax imposition that, according to the regulator, was due against the concealed properties. Challenging the FBR move, the Saifullahs filed appeals in October 2020 before the ATIR. During the 2 months of proceedings before the the appellates argued that the Inland Revenue Service order was based on conjecture, surmises, and presumptions, while the FBR said the family, in response to several notices, filed, filed various documents but did not produce even a single piece of paper with regard to the offshore assets, expenses, and liabilities as declared in their revised return and wealth statements. According to the FBR, the family in their wealth return for 2012 declared local income assets and expenses only. However, the International Consortium of Investigation Journalists ICIJ on April 3, 2016 released certain information acquired from the database of a Panama-based law firm. The big data published worldwide as Panama Papers revealed the names of many persons, including dead head of states, their relatives and associates, politicians, and public officials who formed offshore companies in various tax haven jurisdictions for obtaining secrecy and tax immunity of private property and wealth. The list included the names of the members of Saifullah family, alleging that they held shares in 34 to 38 companies incorporated abroad. They are Anwar Saifullah, Iqbal Saifullah, Javed Saifullah, Salim Saifullah, and Humayun Saifullah. After Panama Gate, they came up with a revised return and wealth statements incorporating therein their beneficial ownership in various companies, trusts, and claiming offshore assets, expenses, and liabilities. The FBR complained that the family did not produce any document with regard to the offshore assets, expenses, and liabilities as declared in revised return and wealth statements. Such willful and deliberate act of withholding key evidence on the part of appellant appellant lent credence to the fact that the family acquired offshore assets companies through unexplained sources, the FBR said. The regulator said the assertion got further strength when one of the co-owners of the offshore assets, Javed Saifullah, declared some offshore assets under the 2018 tax amnesty scheme. The FBR said the National Accountability Bureau, NAB, and the Federal Investigation Agency, FIA, had already started proceedings against the Saifullah family prior to revision of return and wealth statement for tax year 2012 and initiation of proceedings under Income Tax Ordinance 2001. After the Panama Papers, the regulator said the NAB and the FIA also took up the matter of acquisition of offshore assets concealed by a number of Pakistanis through ill-gotten money. Incorrect assessment while terming the order for imposition of additional taxes illegal, the Saifullah family claimed that the assessment was incorrect as the order of Inland Revenue Officer was based on conjectures, surmises, and presumption. The family said it was not justified in holding that the original assessment was amended on the basis of considerable material evidence that came in the possession through external sources. Since the conclusion was incorrectly drawn on presumptions, some surmises, and conjectures without any plausible justification or cogent reason, the same was not tenable in law according to the appellant. The FBR, in its argument before the tribunal, rebutted to these grounds, explaining that the income tax affairs of the taxpayer in pursuance to the certain dubious declarations made in revised declarations, that is, return and wealth statement for tax year 2012 after revelation of his name and ownership of assets in Panama Papers was selected for audit. The outcome of the audit proceedings was confronted to the taxpayer through various notices, but the family did not produce any document to um, corroborate its assertion about the offshore properties, the FBR said.